We left off yesterday with Pam Bondi, who was on the hot seat while we were on the air. And it didn't get any nicer for her after we went off the air, but she handled herself so beautifully. I mean, like a pro. It's very hard to shake a seasoned lawyer with your purported tough cross-examination. A lot of these lawmakers on Capitol Hill are, in fact, lawyers. Most of the ones who were questioning yesterday didn't seem like they were. I'll put it that way. And she just, like a boss, was in there. I was very impressed by her. I've known her for a long time, but she was at her best. And here are a couple of examples. Here she is with Senator Alex Padilla of California, Democrat, holding her ground in SOT 1.
Senator, you were speaking. May I speak? You cut me off when I was speaking. When I ask you the next question, you can speak, and I hope you answer, Ms. Bondi. Well, I'd like to answer the previous one, Senator.
When we met yesterday,
you pointed your finger at me and said you were speaking. You did not seem to be familiar. Let me answer my question. I'm not going to be bullied by you, Senator.
That was good. Okay, just started setting the ground rules like I'm here and I'm not a pushover. Here's the second one. Same two. Watch. Same two people.
An opportunity to study overnight. So can you tell me and this committee what the citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment says?
Senator, I'm here to answer your questions. I'm not here to do your homework and study for you. If I am confirmed as Attorney General...
You're the one asking for a confirmation vote,
you cut me off. Can I please finish?
What does the 14th Amendment say?
Senator, the 14th Amendment, we all know, addresses birthright citizenship. I've been a state prosecutor. I've been a state AG. I look forward to, even given your remarks today, working with you and the people of California if I am confirmed as the 87th Attorney General of the United States of America. I didn't take your homework assignment. I'm sorry. I was preparing for today.
Kevin, I don't know how you do better than that.
You know, one of the things that Bondi, I think, benefited from in particular is that there's this inside the bubble, and a lot of it's from inside the Beltway, but there's this inside the bubble sort of assessment of anybody who's a Trump supporter and any of Trump's nominees that so many of these Democratic senators just bought into. And they didn't really do, or I think do their due diligence or really sort of get as good an assessment as they should have about the long and lengthy resume of accomplishment and the long and lengthy resume of and the history that they have as elected officials, and that Pam Bondi, having been an elected attorney general in Florida, which is a very, very tough place to prosper as an elected official, really has a lot of public strengths, and that was on display in this hearing. And I think the other benefit that Pam Bondi had is that she tended to really benefit from, I think, the incompetence of her opponents. And the way that the questioning went about, the personal criticism, and just like the impolite nature of it all, just really played to her strengths. Now, if this had happened, if this was a flip, this were Republicans that were questioning a Democratic woman in this way, there would have been outrage across a lot of the cable networks about how rude they were and how insensitive they were and how this was going to turn off women voters all across the country. And so, those were my immediate thoughts upon watching it and witnessing it yesterday.
Mm-hmm. But they know that the media won't do that because she's a Republican, but also because she was so solid, like she was unbullyable, which is lovely to see. I have to say, after watching the Democratic female senators at the Hegseth hearing on Monday, it was a delight, or whatever that day, Tuesday was, it was a delight to see a strong, smart, composed woman being on the hot seat and handling herself like a professional, which is what the vast majority of women behave like, not like the hysterics we saw on Tuesday. What you said was mean. Yeah, those remarks are very hurtful. Like, what did you do? You're a U.S. senator. Stop talking about people's feelings, for the love of God. In any event, that was Gillibrand. I'm curious
what you guys thought. Oh, I was going to ask about Gillibrand. I actually think Gillibrand did a pretty fantastic job talking about, the role of women in the military. I mean, look, I got to be honest. At this moment, when the military is having an incredibly difficult time recruiting, at a time when America is still struggling with obesity, beggars can't be choosers. And if you have women who are fit enough, who are able to pass that fitness test in order to be in combat roles, I think it's fair to ask Pete Hegseth why he has an issue with women being included in said combat roles.
It's
so
a fair
I
question.
thought
No,
Gillibrand did an
I
okay
will
job.
answer. I actually didn't really have a problem with the questions themselves that she asked. I didn't really agree with the premise because I do understand what Pete's position has been, having listened to it a long, long time for many, many years. It's not about women in general. It is about we just can't lower standards. And her response, which was we haven't. Like, give me specific examples where we have. That was totally fair game. It was a good response. And he had an answer to it. But what I objected to with her was the nature of the delivery, the hysterics. She sounded, I cringe when our fellow women who make their way into these, halls of power behave like the hysterical women many men still believe they always are. Like, would you keep it together for the love of God? Like, she was shouting. I was in the room and she was like, what you said is hurtful. It's mean. Her facial expressions looked like she was losing it. She looked overly emotional, playing right to stereotype. And it was unbecoming. And then you went down the line, it just got worse. She was the best of the Democrats, but it just got worse. I mean, Hirono was a nightmare. Tammy Duckworth, who you'd think would have been the most composed, an actual soldier who'd been in war. No, she wasn't. So a lot of what I objected to was you don't hear men behaving like that. And we really need to be a little bit more professional. You can punch as hard as you want to with the rhetoric and the words, but keep your tone, the nasal nature of the comments, the facial expressions, the near tears look that the unbotoxed eyebrows will allow. Those are bad.
Yeah. Look, I think a lot of these hearings end up being performances. It's really political theater.
100%.
And at the moment,
good point.
Right now for Democrats, it's nothing but political theater because all you need is a simple majority in the Senate to, confirm these Trump nominees. And so they're using this as a moment to kind of do their own political virtue signaling to their base. And so I understand that. And look, what you're saying is really subjective. Some women are super into it. Some people are really into seeing like a strong fighter, especially a woman in the Senate. Others are turned off by it. So I totally hear what you're saying, but I do think that Gillibrand asked some pretty good questions. So we'll see what happens.
Anna's right. Just real quick,
Megyn.
Yeah. Anna makes a great point here. I didn't find it offensive for any of those other reasons. I found it offensive as a purported professional communicator, because for me, I couldn't figure out who the audience was that was persuadable or who they were seeking to mobilize beyond their most active base. And I think that's the big problem, right? And I think that's consistent with Anna's assessment of it too, which is that if you're only communicating to this already converted part of your party, what's the real political objective here? And if the Democratic Party has to find a way to get back with Latino voters, get back its strength with working class voters, get back its strength with outside of the urban areas and more suburban and rural areas, and build up that support given what happened.
None of whom is watching this.
None of them are watching it, but they are seeing the atomized version of it all. And if it's not focused in a way that really sort of motivates them to care, motivates them to sort of feel that they have a stake in it, and it's only Matsi Hirono and Kirsten Gillibrand or Sheldon Whitehouse, very harsh, active liberal voices inside the party berating, nominees who the thing I think about that's strongest about Hegseth's nomination is, and I think there's an entire discussion we should have about how he brought it back, how he resuscitated it, because it was hanging on a thread there for a while. But it's that he wants to bring an infantry perspective to national security decision making, and to the posture of the armed services. And there is a focus on making sure that the president's vision is executed and implemented, despite what some of the military brass who would disagree. However you fall on that, that's a really good, strong place to argue, rather than some of the topics that they choose to fight on, which were very specifically tailored to an already converted liberal Democratic base.
Yeah, you cheated on your wives. Okay. I want to say this, having practiced law for many years and sat in the Supreme Court as a correspondent for 3, they should be more like the Supreme Court justices who disagree vehemently, but it's almost never, 1% of the time, maybe, if that, maybe not even, maybe I'm being ungenerous, do you ever hear hysterics from the left or the right, from the women or the men. The women on this U.S. Supreme Court, far left though they may be, Sotomayor, Brown, Jackson, they don't behave that way. They maintain their composure and their dignity, and they can slice and dice with the best of them. And I realize they have a different audience they're trying to persuade, which is most of the righties down the way. But and they're, to your point, Anna, these women were trying to get sound bites that would be energetic or motivating or soothing in some way to their base. But
to make
I
headlines
think
too.
Womankind suffers when they behave like the hysterical 50s housewives who men would rush to drug up when they behave that way. Okay, wait.
Gosh.
Let's move on because I want to play you another soundbite. Where did it go? Number 4. This is Adam Schiff and Pam Bondi.
You have the independence to say that. You have the gravitas, the stature, the intestinal fortitude to say, Donald Trump, you lost the 2020 election. Can you tell us that here today?
Senator, what I can tell you is I will never play politics. You're trying to engage me in a gotcha. I won't do it. I won't play politics with any ongoing investigation.
So let me ask you another.
Like you did leaking your colleague Devin Nunes's memo.
All right, Anna. What I see there is
go ahead.
A page out of the Kayleigh McEnany book. Remember when Trump went through all these press secretaries and he settled on Kayleigh McEnany, who was young, like sort of an ingenue, recently out of Harvard Law and had spent some time at CNN, and she got up there and turned the tables inside that press briefing room where she would attack the press. And Republicans hate the press, so it was absolutely risk-free for her. And it worked. It worked really well. Trump loved it. Republicans enjoyed it. People started watching the briefings again. I'm seeing this pattern now with Bondi, a little bit with Pete. They've been nice to Marco Rubio, but this is an effective tactic that, most importantly, I think the boss enjoys.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm sure if Trump was watching, he absolutely loved the way she handled the confirmation hearing yesterday. But I will say this. Look, I think she did a good job in terms of optics for sure. I wish that the Senate confirmation hearings were less about the optics and politics and more about the records of these individuals. And so I would have preferred that she just said Biden won the 2020 election. That way it would take the one and only question away from the Democrats. Well, she said Biden is the president.
She said he's president.
Exactly. And so that allowed for the Democrats to continue asking the same boring question over and over and over and over again. And I would have loved for them to delve into her record in Florida, right? I want to learn more about her. I'm sure the American people want to learn more about her. But honestly, at this point, the Democratic Party has one speed and one speed only. And I'm sure it was aggravating for her as well to be asked the exact same question over and over again.
Increased tariffs on our trade partners, tax cuts, and regulation changes. There's a reason why gold is a diversification tactic now more than ever, right? Trump's coming in, he's got a bunch of new policies. And wouldn't it be smart just to hedge your bets, have a few, eggs in different baskets? Birch Gold is releasing their ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era. It's got a foreword written by Donald Trump Jr. And this is an important thing to read right about now when you're thinking about diversifying. To get your free copy, along with Birch Gold's free info kit on gold, you can just text MK to the number 989898. Here are the facts. The national debt continues to go up. Our interest payments on the national debt continue to go up. Gold can be a hedge against a weakened dollar. And Birch Gold can convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. Text MK to 989898 for your free copy of the ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era. There's no obligation, just information. These guys have an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. They've got countless of 5-star reviews and thousands of happy customers. Find out more about Birch Gold by texting MK to the number 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.